I'll
You're
just,
welcome.
we're recording. That's good.
I want to make sure I'm recording too.
So, hello everyone, welcome. I am Mark Porteous, author of Maximizing Your Human Experience and co-founder of the Inspired Messengers Network. I believe that we all have a message to share, and just the way that we show up in the world sends a message to really everyone around us. And some are inspired to share their message to benefit others. And I help coaches, authors, speakers, healers to reach more people with their gifts so they can thrive in their purpose of transforming lives. It's a really great pleasure for me to be here tonight with a truly inspired messenger. And many of you on the phone are also inspired messengers, but my mentor and a wonderful friend and an all-around beautiful soul. I met Marian at Co-Creators Convergence in 2015, and my life has never been the same since. She's a radiant being with a passion to create no less than peace on earth by offering tools for greater inner peace. The revolutionary agreements she will share with you today have provided me with a very simple and powerful structure for being the change that I want to see in the world. And that's why I'm really excited to share them with you. And I consider these to be the constitution of the Inspired Messengers Network. So I'm absolutely delighted to introduce my friend Marian Head. There is really no one label to define this woman. She's a businesswoman who built a multi-million-dollar global wellness business. She's an educator with her husband Glenn, initiated and co-chaired the nation's first graduate department of leadership and organizational transformation. She is a world-class facilitator called on to serve some of the most transformational events in our history, including the Soviet American Citizens Summit in Washington, D.C. and Moscow, to help break down stereotypes at the end of the Cold War. She served luminaries such as His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, Vice President Al Gore, and then President Mikhail Gorbachev in Oxford and Moscow at the very first global forums of spiritual and parliamentary leadership on human survival. That's a mouthful.
Yes.
Mary is the author of 3 books, including the award-winning Revolutionary Agreements, which we will be working with tonight. She's also Glenn's loving wife of 34 years, mother of their 27-year-old son, and friend to many, including me and my whole family. Marian says the Revolutionary Agreements are the foundation for her great success in all her endeavors, whether in business, education, citizen diplomacy, or at home in her marriage and parenting. Our intention tonight is for you to walk away from today's webinar with tools that you can put into effect immediately, like tonight, to enjoy a successful, thriving life. And of course, an hour is such a very short time to digest all that Marian has to offer. And I know there's a lot of visionary leaders and coaches and transformational trainers here tonight. And I really want to thank all of you for being here and just doing the work that you're doing in the world. So after our call tonight, after your experience, if you feel that these agreements can support your work in the world, you may want to take advantage of Marian's next annual Revolutionary Agreements certification program, like I did earlier this year, or finished it last year, right around the same time, and started teaching at the beginning of this year. So today, Marian and I are taking you on a revolutionary experience. And this is one step. This is very important. One step to great relationships at home, at work, and in the world. You can imagine it's hard to feel peaceful when we're dealing with all the relationship issues, even issues within ourselves. So if you think about, are you ever self-critical, or do you worry about your relationship with your boss or a coworker, or client, spouse? And it's hard to feel peaceful when you feel frustrated or angry with someone, or if you're trying to avoid conflict. So what if you knew a way to resolve relationship issues without even involving the other person? That's what Marian is going to show us how to do today with the Revolutionary Agreements. Hello, Marian, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Wow, that was a wonderful introduction, and welcome, especially to the people who are here tonight, because I know each of you is making your unique contribution in our world. So I want to acknowledge your presence and thank you. So let me just give you a teeny bit of history of where these agreements came from to get us started. More than 30 years ago it is now, my husband, Glenn, who is right, he's there. If you look, scan the gallery, he was really inspired to invite business friends to our home so that we could explore with each other how we could support one another in living our highest values in all aspects of our lives, and especially at work, because that's where we spent most of our time. So at that very first gathering at our home, we began developing a set of agreements that would guide us in living those highest values. That group decided to meet again the following month, and every month after that for the next 20 years. And every gathering, we started by reading the agreements out loud and then just talking about how they were impacting our lives and the lives of those we worked with and our families. And it was pretty extraordinary. As we evolved over those 20 years, the agreements evolved. The revolutionary agreements are my version of the essence of those agreements that that group called Geneva Group founded. So that's the history behind the agreements. And then Mark, do you want to tell people what they can expect from our time together tonight?
Yeah, so here's what you're going to experience. Marianne's going to give you a high-level overview of all 12 of the revolutionary agreements. And then she'll offer an activity to take you more deeply into the one agreement that's most responsible for today's focus on one step to great relationships. So we're going to have a lot of fun. That's an important piece because that's actually one of the 12 agreements. And you'll leave with a tool that can help you apply personally and professionally to resolve relationship issues at home and work without even involving the other person. How does that sound? Everybody ready to go?
This is how you say yes when you're on Zoom, by the way. You put thumbs up in front of your nose so I can see it.
Awesome.
Or at least that's the way I like to do it. I'm sure there are other ways. And also, those of you who are new to Zoom, I just want to mention that when I'm looking right at you, I'm actually looking at the camera, and I really want to see your faces. So sometimes it's going to look like I'm looking down, and when I'm looking down, I'm actually looking at your faces. So I'll be doing both, just so that you can feel like I'm looking in your eyes. I am thinking of you when I'm looking in the camera, but I really want to look at your faces sometimes. So thanks. Sorry, Mark, what were you going to say?
I appreciate that because it's really important that we're engaging in this new type of technology. We're connecting all across the globe, and for some people it's rather new, and that connection is a really important piece of what we're doing. So thank you for bringing that back in there. And I just wanted to share a little bit about the activity that we're going to be doing tonight. It's just one of 40 or more activities that are actually part of the program that I took with Marianne and that I lead as a certified revolutionary agreements coach. These activities helped me to move from learning about the agreements when I read the book, which many of you may have read Marianne's book, to actually being able to embody them, to live them in my life. And that's really where they do their magic in my life. So if you enjoyed today's experience and you're not a candidate for Marianne's certification program, I invite you to consider going deeper and higher with me or with one of the other certified revolutionary agreements coaches, should you want more of the power of these agreements in your life. So if you're interested in learning more about either becoming certified yourself to lead your own programs like I do, you are invited to stay for 10 minutes after today's experience. This is going to be focused really on the engagement and the experience, and then you can stay after and learn more about her program and what she's doing. You'll get actually a sneak peek behind the scenes of the membership site at the Agreements Institute. And there you can see why the program that we're certified to lead here is like a total turnkey in-a-box program that you can use with your clients. So from the emails that you've already received since registering for today's program, you probably know that Marianne loves giving gifts. And she's got a really special one for you today just for being here. And later on, we'll tell you exactly what it is and how you can get it. So Marianne, back to you.
Okay, thanks. All right, let's jump into this high-level overview, Mark called it, of the 12 revolutionary agreements. And I am going to screen share with you for just a moment the gift that Mark talked about. So bear with me for just a moment. Okay, can you see that? Can you see the poster?
Yes.
Thank you, Mark. I'm going to be asking occasionally to make sure,
Yes.
because everybody kind of goes away and I see the poster and just a few faces. So I'll just start with this up for a few minutes and then I'll take it away so we can see each other again. As you can see, there are 3 areas that the revolutionary agreements have self-organized into, and I call these 3 pillars of a good life: truth, acceptance, and gratitude, where truth is being the truth of who you are, your authentic self. Acceptance is accepting others for who they are in this moment. And gratitude, well, that's just appreciating and expressing appreciation for every precious moment we have of life. So the 12 agreements, I'm going to stop the screen share right now. And if you printed out your copy that was sent in one of the emails, get it out. And if not, just listen. Okay, here we are. Okay, so the first, I'd like you to listen. As I go through these agreements, I'd like you to listen carefully for which one of these agreements, if you practiced it daily, would likely lead to let's just say have the greatest positive impact on your relationships. Okay, so as you're listening to these agreements, if you go, oh, if I practice that one more, because I'm sure you all practice these agreements in your own way. And then there are things that we can do more of sometimes. So which one might have the biggest positive impact on your relationships? So in the area of truth, the first agreement is I agree to live my mission. And what that's about is not achieving your mission, because that's something else completely. This is really about discovering what it is you really love, identifying what the essence of that is, and then making sure that you incorporate the essence, that you live that essence in your daily life. And so that's what that one is about. It's different from achieving, putting something off till someday. It's bringing it into your present day. The second agreement is I agree to speak my truth with compassion. Now, that's really just about being honest. That seems simple, doesn't it? Just to be honest. But then there's our culture. Well, we won't go all the way there. But a lot of us were raised to be polite as the first thing that we do, with honesty kind of taking back seat. And so it takes retraining to be honest. And when I am honest, I am free. Otherwise, I feel this burden to be something that I'm not. So yeah, that's the second agreement. The third one is I agree to look within when I react. And this is a big one. Now, reacting is bigger than the word react. It's when we have a disproportionate reaction to what somebody says or does, or let me speak for myself again. When I have a disproportionate reaction to what somebody says or does, for me, it is always, not most of the time, it's always about me, not about the other person. Something is triggering something that's unresolved within myself. And once I remember that, then it releases any tension that I might feel about that other person, because it's not about the other person. And we've just gone over 25 people, so we are now into having 2 screens, by the way, if you're in the gallery and you want to look around. Okay, the last one in I agree in the truth area is I agree to keep doing what works and change what doesn't. Well, that sounds easy, doesn't it? Like just change what doesn't work. Well, it's not as easy as it might seem. And yet, once we know how the brain works and how to rewire it, then it is easy. And so that's what we focus on in our programs, is how do we create new habits that we want and get rid of old habits that we don't want. So let's stop for just a moment and say if you were going to pick one of these 4 agreements, and one of these 4 would have the biggest impact on your relationships, which one would you select? And write it down so that you don't forget it. And then I invite you to put it in the chat box if you would. And Mark's going to be, just so that we don't have a lot of background noise, Mark will read what people share in the chat box for this event.
And let's do a little training on the chat box again. So there's a bar at the bottom of your screen, and it may not be there unless you scroll your mouse on it, but scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a little speech cloud. You click on that. Somebody's writing there now. Linda's writing in there. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Linda. So everyone, if you want to write in just hi or whatever to test it and share which of those 4 agreements would be most beneficial in your life right now. I'll let you continue on while people are entering those in.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll tell you how I'd like to continue. I'd like to continue by asking one of the graduates how living this agreement has impacted you. And so let's see, Darlis, are you willing? Okay, you're on, yeah, good.
Willing and able. What I'd really like to talk about is my experience going through the certification process with Marion, and some of my classmates are here, Mark and Patricia and Bob. It's wonderful to see the gang. Those first 4 agreements, the truth pillar was so incredibly important to my experience of the class, because what I was going through is a difficulty in my business partnership that had not been working. And what I dissected from these truth agreements is what I realized is that our mission statements had changed throughout the years. We were together for 8 years. And so the relationship was no longer working with me. So I began to be able to speak my truth with compassion and be very honoring of both of us, especially myself, I think. And then whenever my buttons were pushed in our business relationship, I was able to really step back and take a look at how I was reacting, what was going on inside of me. And then throughout the course, on week number 11, or 12, I was able to announce to our class that I had successfully closed our business of 8 years, and I had done it amicably and with such ease and grace that if I had not had the certification course, this would have never happened. So that's my experience with the truth.
Thank you. Thanks, Darlis. I appreciate it so much. And it was expansive for all of us. Thank you. And Mark, did we have any chats?
We did. We had a lot of chats, and it's very interesting because I've never seen such an overwhelming response for keep doing what works and change what doesn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. Live my mission. We had a couple of those, 2 of those, and speak my truth with compassion.
Okay, very good. Well, I have to say that when we get to session 4 of our longer programs, well, anything's longer than tonight. Tonight's like a little, when people go through that particular one, it's worth the entire the investment, because you get to change something that's not working. It's so good. Okay, let's move on. In the area of acceptance, I agree to listen with my heart. And what that means is listening so the other person can feel heard rather than feel fixed or compared with, or many other ways that we listen. And then I agree to respect our differences. Well, that's huge, and I'm not going to address it today because I have another one I want to spend a lot of time on with you so you can really get it. I agree to resolve conflicts directly just means to resolve it with the person with whom you can actually resolve it as soon as possible. And honor our choices. I agree to honor our choices. My choices, your choices, comes when we understand that when we make a choice or decision, in that very moment, we actually make the best choice or decision we're capable of. given everything that came before it, who we are, what's happening in that moment. So it's a very rich agreement. And so in the area of acceptance, I'm going to ask you which one of those four, if you were to practice it daily, might have the greatest positive impact on your relationships. And write it down and share it with us on chat if you would. I invite you to. And Bob said he wanted to share with us about acceptance, because that was, well, I'll let you talk. Go ahead, Bob.
Good evening, aloha, Marion and Glenn, and hello to all of my fellow coaches, and welcome to everybody who is exploring this possibility of making the agreements something very special in your life as you live your journey forward. Yes, I volunteered to talk about acceptance for a moment, how it's affected me in my life. When we went through our certification program, it was during the United States of America's 2016 election. And I found the 4 agreements that are a part of the acceptance pillar to be most challenging for me for the entire year. In fact, one of our classes was on election night. And so it really has been very, very important to me to be able to see how I can get grounded in these, particularly these 4 agreements, when my triggers go off when something is happening. When I'm watching Scott Pruitt talk on Facebook Live this morning before the House committee, I have to ground myself, and the way I accomplish that is to pull out my bookmark with the Revolutionary Agreements and put it in front of the screen while I listen to what's being said in public forum. And so these 4 agreements in particular have been the ones that, for me, and continuing so on a daily basis, have brought more grounding and more peace to me in my life. As recently as last night, listening with my heart to my daughter, legally my foster daughter, tell stories to someone we were having dinner with about the journey of her life, parts of which I had not heard before. And it was very, very rewarding to be able to apply the agreement of listening with my heart in that moment. Thank you, Marion. Thank you for all this is.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Thank you for taking it out and spreading it in the world, and Darlis, both of you. And so now on to gratitude. Oh no, I want to hear what our gallery says.
So this one is more spread out. I think we had more resolve conflicts directly. Also, at the end, we did have a speech. I'm sorry. The last one, somebody came in last minute and said, look within when I react, Karen. So we had a little bit of representation from everything. This one, it looks, again, pretty even. Resolve conflicts directly. That was mine, along with Bernie and several others, including Janet. Hi, Janet, by the way. Respect our differences. And I guess, and this is something that you'll notice, there's a difference. Honor our differences and respect. Those 2 people get confused on. I see that honor our differences and respect our differences are both listed.
Well, honor our choices.
Yes.
So it's okay. It's all right. It's not about the words anyway. So, are you complete, Mark? Yeah.
It's just that it's interesting to how many all these subtle differences in it that they are just words. But then when we go into the exercises and you feel into it and how powerful those words are.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So gratitude. That's the 3rd pillar. And the agreements are, I agree to give and receive thanks. We learn how to give thanks from an early age. You know, I don't know about you, but I could hear my mother right now going, "What do you say to Mrs. somebody or other?" And you say, "Thank you. You know, thank you, teacher. Thank you, thank you, thank you." But we don't so much learn how to receive. We tend to deflect thanks. So the important thing about this agreement, and there's a lot of important things about this agreement, but one of them is that the people who can receive appreciation are also very good at receiving everything else they want in life. So relationships, money, you name it. So receiving is an energy. And it's like I want to go into each of these more deeply, but I've got to stay high level here. So I agree to see the best in myself and others is the agreement that we're going to go into in more detail. So I'm going to skip that for right now. I agree to look for blessings in disguise. Can you think of a time that something happened, it seemed like it was horrible, but it turned into a blessing in your life? Give me a thumbs up if you can think of one. Yeah.
And while we're doing the thumbs up, I want to ask Walt. Walt, can you mute yourself? We've got everybody else muted and you just came in. It's on the lower left-hand side. Thank you.
And I think, Joseph, you're probably needing to be muted. Here, I did it. I was able to do it with everybody. Good. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for noticing. Oh, yeah. So look for blessings in disguise. And then there's the last one, which is I agree to lighten up. After all that, we need to land on I agree to lighten up. So which of these four, if you were to practice it daily, might have the greatest positive impact on your relationships? And as you're capturing that, I invite you to share it in chat again. Linda, would you like to share with us your experience? Now I'm calling on our graduates, for those of you who have come in late, people who have graduated the certification program and are out in the world teaching the agreements. So Linda, what was your experience with gratitude, or is your experience?
Well, this pillar is such a part of my life that it just amplified everything that I already was living. It's not fair for me to pick one, when there are so many and they mean so much. I would have to say, coming from, and I'll just do a brief story, it's about lightening up. There was a time in my life when my marriage was falling apart and my business was closing and my kids were scattered and there was addiction in the family and there was a divorce coming along, and it was not an easy time. I have since found all of the blessings that were in disguise at that. And from that experience have been able to lighten up and realize that this too shall pass. But there are blessings in the worst situation that we think when we're in it, how am I ever going to get out? And sometimes that hindsight makes everything just that much lighter. And I was able to look back and not take everything so seriously because there were serious things going on. So actually living these agreements, taking the course actually for me was a very good blessing, because my mother was passed away in April, and I was right in the middle of taking this course with Marion, and it kind of threw me off, but I just kept going back to respecting myself and everyone else who was in the class, and keep going and to lighten up in the midst of that. So I'm so grateful. Talk about gratitude. I'm just completely grateful to Marion for this course and the fact that I did take it. So the blessings are showing up every single day, and I'm looking forward to teaching it in 2018.
Great. Yeah, Linda just finished in the most recent class. So thank you, Linda. You are a walking gratitude. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll receive that.
Very much. Very well done. So Mark, what did we hear from the attendees here?
We did. We had lots of lighten up, which is really funny because I underestimated the value of that at the beginning, and I also chose lighten up. But we had a little bit of everything, a few of each of the others. That was the overwhelming winner.
Okay, good. Thank you, everybody, for playing. I appreciate it. And wow, I'm just looking around to see some of the new people that came in. Yum, yum. Okay. All of the agreements impact our relationships, whether it's our relationship with ourselves or our relationship with others. But the one agreement that has had the biggest impact for me, and I believe could literally change our world, is I agree to see the best in myself and others. So take a minute right now and ask yourself, what is best about me? Not me, you. Ask yourself, what is best about me, you? And write down 5 things that are best about yourself. And if you're open to it, please share it on chat. I'm going to set the timer for a minute, give you all a minute. Three, two, one. That's what it sounds like when my timer goes off. We use this a lot in class. Okay, so is there anything in chat?
We're going to actually, everybody's been writing. So now we want to encourage everyone to be courageous, which is one of the ones I put down, and share something you love about yourself.
And the question is, again, what's best about yourself? You can just give us 1. It doesn't have to be 5. Linda, put it in the chat box, Linda.
In the chat box?
Yes, please.
Now they're coming in. So,
and that way we don't need to necessarily do names even. Hey, there's an idea, Mark. No names. Just tell us
love
what
it.
great people here.
Compassion, smart, funny, courageous, helpful, loyal friend, good listener, encouraging others, honest. Another honest, integrity, caring for others, and the planet, and stunningly handsome. And stunningly handsome. Of that's the lighten up part. I love deeply, strengthen, sense of purpose, accountability, deep listening, clear speaking, kind, curious, adventurous, focused, patient. I always trust my intuition, curiosity, authenticity, dedicated to my own spiritual growth, determined, good listener, kind, loving, thoughtful, vision, clarity, integrity, curious, unconditional love. 4 more, compassionate, understanding, open, respectful, and receptive.
Wow. I think we need to give everybody a hand. You know about clapping
Jazz
like
hands.
that? Wow. I just want to stay with you for a long time. Nice. Okay. So in our programs, we take the time to share with each other. It's one of the important things to speak what it is that's coming up for us. And so I encourage you to do that after our session together today, to share with, somebody you like, somebody who loves you, some of the things that come up for you here. So next, I invite you to write down the names of 3 people you are closest with in your life. Don't put their names in the chat box. Just write down the names of 3 people you are closest with in your life. And look up when you're finished. Okay, does anybody need more time? You show me a hand. Okay, so for which of those 3 do you sometimes find it challenging to see the best? Maybe you have the most conflicts with that person, or you're you find yourself critical of the way that person speaks or behaves in some way, or maybe you get frustrated by something that person does, circle that person's name. And if you're looking at those people and you say, well, I only see the best in these people, then think of somebody you'd like a better relationship with who's not on your list and write their name down. Oh, it wasn't hard for a lot of you. It was quick. So in a minute, I'm going to invite you to write down everything you can think of that represents the best in that person, especially in the areas that you might perceive as their weaknesses. So I want to spend a little time just talking about that. I mean, have you heard or experienced that our strengths are often our weaknesses?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
So I'm going to give you an example of something that came up in my life. And that this agreement helped me get over. And that's my husband. He went off, so we can't see him live. It's okay. My husband, hi, Glenn. So I would never talk behind his back, right? But he can be really slow. And it used to frustrate me a lot because I can be really fast. And I love being on time, and he doesn't even know what time it is. So I used to get very, very, very frustrated with him. I'm reconnecting to those times because I don't anymore, but I did used to get very frustrated with him. And then I began looking at strengths and weaknesses when I started practicing this agreement more, and realized that his slowness comes from this great strength that he has of being present. My husband is so present. He is right here with whoever he's with, whatever he's doing. He's right here. It's a gift. And in fact, I aspire to be more like that. And so now, or not now it doesn't even come up for me. But then when it would still come up like, oh, he's so slow, I would switch my thinking and go, thank goodness, because he's so present. So I would just switch and think about what he was best at, what his strength was. It's fast. It's just a momentary thought that we just have to change. So for the next 2 minutes, I want you to write down everything that represents the best. I'm going to do 1 minute. Everything that represents the best in the person whose name you circled that you can do in 1 minute. And you might consider if there's a flip side to anything you consider a weakness. And if you have questions about what to do, direct them to Mark through the chat. Thanks, Mark. Okay, so what's everything that's best about the person whose name you wrote down or circled? Three, two, one. Okay, so here's your mission, should you choose to accept it. Next time you catch yourself being critical of that person, switch your thought to one of the things that's best about them. It doesn't take any time to do this. It's as fast as changing your mind. It doesn't cost anything, and you don't need anybody's permission. It's really fabulous. So, and I want to share with you something else about me and my husband, because focusing on what was the best in Glenn at some point in our 33 years together actually saved our marriage. So I'm going to tell you a little story about that. At our 24th anniversary, I realized that if I didn't change something, we would not be celebrating our 25th. I had spent most of the previous year being really critical of Glenn. He had taken over a business that I had built, and while I was writing my first book. And he didn't do it the way I did it. That was the problem. So he wasn't doing it right because he didn't do it the way I did it, and I built it. So I was critical, and then it spilled over into other things, and I just became critical of everything. And I knew I couldn't keep going on like this. So the day that it came to a head, well, on our 24th wedding anniversary, the next day I discovered a little gratitude journal, just a little blank journal. And I thought, oh, I could just practice what I preach here. So I decided every day I'm going to sit down and write one thing I'm grateful for about Glenn. So the next morning, I sat in the rocking chair in our bedroom, and look, he sleeps later than me, so I just got to sort of gaze at him and say, well, what am I grateful for? And, you know, the truth is I couldn't find anything that morning. I was still in this space of being critical. But I wrote something. I thanked the people who introduced us. It was something. And then the next day, it was easier. I found something. And the next day, it was easier. And it got easier every day. It only took 5 days. And I was transformed. And therefore, our relationship was transformed. I did write for 121 days. And I did wind up giving Glenn the journal for our 25th wedding anniversary the next year as a gift. And he didn't know I was writing it. So if you're serious about shifting a relationship, get yourself a small journal and spend just 1 to 2 minutes every day writing down one thing you are grateful for about that person. And it works for situations too. It doesn't have to be a relationship with a person. You have relationships with circumstances in your life as well, with situations. It's simple, it takes virtually no time, and it will transform your relationship without even involving the other person. I mean, it transforms it. This is what I want to share with you today. This is the one step. The one step is this one agreement to see the best in yourself, which is another topic, and others. And so when you begin to see the best, the relationship issues disappear because you're focused on that. Now, not all relationship issues, obviously, but many, many of them. So giving Glenn that gift on our 25th wedding anniversary, and then having him like not even know that I was doing it, that was awesome. And speaking of gifts, my bonus gift for you today is a free copy of the book that Glenn asked me to publish about 5 years after that anniversary. And it's called Gratitude Journal for a Healthy Marriage. Now, when he asked me to publish it because he thought it could help people, I said, what, are you kidding? That was like my personal, that's got like intimate stuff in it. Well, most of it is actually pictures of my own journal. So I'm being vulnerable here. Let me say that although I use the words healthy marriage in the title, it really works again for any situation. Thank you, Karen. For any situation or any relationship that you find challenging. So I'll be telling you how to get your copy in one more minute, but first I want to let you know that after we close today's program, I'd like to invite those of you who are curious or who would like to explore becoming a certified coach to stay for 10 more minutes. Mark mentioned this earlier, so that I can give you a sneak peek behind the scenes of the area where only licensed members go. So we have just 2 more activities in our experience. And then I'll show you, those of you who would like to stay, how the certification program is organized to support your own learning and support you in facilitating your own revolutionary agreements programs. And this isn't for everyone, but I'm delighted to spend the time to show those of you who are interested. So I want to just say to all of you, thank you for joining us today. And if the person who invited you today is a graduate of the certification program, be sure to find out when their next program is and treat yourself to a transformative experience. Some graduates teach via Zoom like this, and others teach locally in their communities. And you'll hear from one of those later if you stay with me the extra 10 minutes. So thanks for staying for the whole program. It's time to give you your special bonus gift. It's my book, Gratitude Journal for a Healthy Marriage, and all you need to do is go to your browser and type in gratitudejournalnow.com, and you'll get a PDF of the book. It'll take you to a PDF you can download. I mean, it's not the beautiful little book that I published, but it's got everything in it. So let's wrap up the experience before I take whoever's interested on the behind the scenes tour. First of all, would anyone like to share your experience of today's activity? Or do you have a question about the agreements that I can answer in just a few minutes? And I'm going to open up the mics or you open up your own mic if you want to say something. That way I can keep the others.
It's loud if you don't.
Yeah. Would anybody like to share your experience of the experience? And
I really want to encourage people, if there's something that you might even be thinking, this is one of the greatest benefits for me in being in the program was that engagement and the interaction and hearing what other people's experience was about, and it kind of helped me to enrich my own experience. So if there's something that's bubbling up and you're not quite sure if you want to share it, go ahead and share it.
And you can use the chat too. I just saw.
I have to pop off right away, but I just wanted to share that this has made me even more excited to start the program soon. And I can feel the energy of this group, and I really like what I'm feeling. So thank you for what you've done, and thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Yes, great, Joseph. And if you want to stay for the tour, you're welcome to do that. And I'm excited because Joseph is one of those first Canadians who registered for the next program. Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph. And also Bernie is asking if you can repeat the name of the book again. And I think we were talking, you and I.
Gratitude Journal for a Healthy Marriage.
And you already told them basically how to get it?
GratitudeJournalNow.com. Like, why wait?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, Linda put that in the chat box. Thank you, Linda. So it's.
Oh, thanks, Linda. Okay.
Mary, if I could share real quick that, again, welcome to everybody who's exploring how to bring these agreements into your life. And that in taking this and facilitating this in the world and in participating in the certification program with Marion, one of the things that's most precious is the creation of sacred space and trust between those that are in the group. I've done this in workshop form, I've done it in weekend-long retreat form, and also on Zoom over 12 weeks. Marion's certification was 14 weeks. And right from the beginning, the significance of that sacred space and trust of one another provides the opportunity for us really to go deep in learning about and exchanging with and supporting each other about the agreements, and then living them through the course of the time, whatever that time period might be. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Well, I would love to hear your voices. How about just one word or one thing that you're grateful for in this moment? So just pop in, turn your mic back on, say something, and then when we finish this piece, we'll say goodbye to those people who are leaving us, and we'll go on to the tour for those people who are interested in exploring certification or just curious about what goes on behind the member site.
So what is the word that we're doing now is
Gratitude.
It's not a word, it's just what you're feeling grateful for in this moment.
Good friends.
friends.
This community. Thank you, Marion.
That's what I was going to say, Darlis.
My,
I'm grateful you said it.
Art.
Finding out about this class.
Mm.
Besides community, the agreements themselves.
The inspiration that I can feel and sense from the group.
Finding out about this class and the 12 agreements.
Mm.
love.
More tools to bring greater kindness.
Reconnecting with old friends.
Hi, Joellen.
Hi there.
Mm.
Thanks for joining.
Loved ones. My loved ones.
Oh, you're adorable loved ones.
I am really grateful for my life, and I don't take one moment for granted when I think of still the people in Puerto Rico and the people in California and everybody who's dealing with something really serious. I wake up every day and say, thank you, God, I just have another day that, so far things are good. And so I do find that blessing every day. So I wanted to just voice how grateful I am for all of this in life and being able to see it even more deeply through the 12 agreements.
Thank you. Anybody else?
These agreements changed my life, and I've been around them for a number of years. They helped me to leave a job, leave a state, come to a different state, and be in a state of pretty much peace through all of the changes. And someone over Thanksgiving, when I was talking about process, said, your move was huge. Do you realize it? And it was the first time that I realized it was huge because the agreements had made it so supportive. And being in the class as well, it was, and still is, very much a gift.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. And is there anybody else? Okay.
Great to see you, Jill.
So,
Good to see
Mark,
you.
do you want to wrap
Yes.
wrap this portion up, and then we'll move on with anybody who wants to stay?
I just want to point out how timely you are. We promised everybody that we'd be done with the content in the hour before we go on to that. So as usual, just right on time. So I want to thank everybody that is here today. I appreciate you for showing up, whether you're here live or listening to the replay. Giving yourself this investment and the people around you. We all talked about are the people around us. So thank you for being here and for shining your light. And anybody that would like to stay and get a sneak peek behind the scenes at the Agreement Institute, raise your hand. See if there's anybody out there. Thumbs up, smiles. We
have some. Good.
Cool. So Marion, you'll begin your tour right after we say goodbye to everyone who might be leaving us. Again, I just really want to say thank you for showing up in the world and shining your light. Namaste.
Yes, thank you. Those of you who are going to depart just from the screen.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
And for everyone staying, it is a very quick tour. It'll take probably 10 minutes. And then, Marion, you're going to stay and answer any questions or anything else that anybody has, correct?
Yes, I will.
If we need to. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Hi, Darlis.
Hi, darling. Okay, I'm just looking around. Good, we're within the 25, so I can see everybody on one screen. Good. Okay. Well, you already know I love gifts. So you've gotten 2. And now I'm going to tell you that those of you who stay, there's one more. Okay, stay tuned. So I'm going to screen share to the site. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, Mark, are we looking at the,
We got it.
okay. So
Everybody
I'm
else
looking
sees
over
it.
at the right. I have another computer to my right, which is why I'm looking over at my right now, but I want you to look at the screen anyway, so at the share. So here, this is Agreements Institute, and there's a lot of things to look at, but I went into the member site, which only members can do, which are people who come through the program, the certification program. And on the welcome page is an overview of the program that for every single session says, like, this is what we're going to do in the opening session. We're going to cover these things. The first agreement session, which is Live My Mission. Now you know the agreements. We're going to cover these things. Same thing, what the objectives are for each of the sessions. And then, so that goes on for the 14 weeks of the certification program. And then this course menu is just, it's really the guide through the certification program, and it also helps those who are facilitating their own programs to let their participants know what's going to happen next. So I'm just going to enter agreement session 4 because so many of you said that you wanted to change what, keep doing what works and change what doesn't. That was like the agreement you said would be the most helpful. So we'll take a look at that one. Mm-hmm. So agreement session 4, this is what you would do before each of your sessions. Agreement session 4, keep doing what works and change what doesn't. There's a little welcoming that I do and usually context where we are in the program. And then there's the objective for that session. What we will cover, and you might remember me saying, biological function associated with our repeated thoughts and actions in this particular one, and then laying new neurological tracks for things that we want to experience. We always have, what do we do prior to the session? What do you do as a student prior to the session? Well, you're always reading the next chapter, and the chapters are only about, they average, I think, 15 pages. And you complete something called Focus on Today, which is the last page of each chapter is a set of exercises that you do. It's short, maybe takes 10 minutes, but then you live with it over the week. And it's the living with it, just doing your life, the way you do your life, that helps us to embody the agreement. So there's one thing to read the book and learn about it and do the exercises so that you're practicing it. But then there's embodying it. And I think that's what happens in this program. And then it's there for you when you need them. And then this one's just had one other thing prior to the session. And then after this session, it tells you what to do. Well, you're going to start building new neural pathways after this session. And you're going to meet with your buddy, which you do every week. You have a buddy and you meet with that buddy, and the buddies change every pillar: truth, acceptance, and gratitude. So you get to know somebody really well for 4 weeks and then move on and get to know somebody else. Each week you capture insights, you and your buddy together, on a little form so that I can experience what you're learning. And then you also provide feedback on the program so that we can keep making it better and better for the next people. And these things are all easy to copy and paste into emails to your own participants when you're doing your own programs. And that's why there's this extra little note here that says, certification students, hey, send this feedback form to your participants in your practicum. So there's a practicum, we're gonna get to that. So that I get feedback on how you do in your practicum, so I know that I can certify you, give you the stamp of certification. Okay, so that's kind of a look at one of the sessions. Oops. And then let's take a look at the resources, I think. Well, first of all, video replays. Now, Mark, can you see that I'm pointing to video replays?
Yes, I see that the arrow's on it.
Okay. So one of the cool things about the videos, that's the video of our session or our class. So you can go back at any time and review a class. And I know some people, before they teach their own programs, Go back and review that session before they're going to teach that session, that agreement. Go back and review by watching the program they were in. Because pretty much what I do, let me go back here for just a minute. Well, I can do it here. So we have an opening session, but then everything after that, agreement session 1 through agreement session 12, I'm demonstrating what you are being certified to lead. So you can walk away with a turnkey program to lead programs on these 12 sessions. And then, all right, resources. So then the videos you have as a resource, and there's a lot of other resources too. I'll just give you a quick look. There's a wonderful video conferencing basics graphic that I have. Oh, I almost want to show it to you, but I don't want to take your time doing this. It's kind of how, but you do need this. Some of you really need this. I'm going to show this to you. Some of you really need this. So how not to look ugly on a webcam. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful compilation of the best practices when you've got a camera on you and you're on a program like this. So I'm going to close that, go back.
Especially for leading a program.
Yeah, especially for leading a program. But in the very first class, we have you look at least the first 15 minutes of the first replay, and then you learn what you look like, and then you can adjust. But we're all friendly. So here we are back at the resources. And we have resources to support your practicum and your future programs, resources around promotion, resources on sample emails you want to send your own participants, all different kinds of tools, how to use Zoom. I mean, from the beginning, for those people who have not used Zoom, what you do to use Zoom, giving you a checklist so that you can prepare for your practicum. What to expect is something you can use to send to your participants, like, okay, what can you expect of me? And here's what I expect of you. So there's a lot of tools, a roster, a participant roster for you, all sorts of things. And then there's some professional development and relationship documents, like our relationship about licensing and certification requirements. So that's kind of behind the scenes, and we have it for every one of the 14 sessions. And then let's see where I want to take you next.
Actually, before you go to the next, while you're talking about the 14 sessions, there's 12 sessions that we're teaching, but it's 14 sessions because one of those sessions is really talking about how to run it as part of your business as a transformational coach, or how to incorporate that as part of your own practice.
Yeah, so, and that one, I'll show you. I've now named that one Attract Your Ideal Participants. And that launches a monthly roundtable that you're invited to come to, where we all share with each other how it's going, what's working, what do we need, help each other. It's wonderful. It's like a little reunion every month. So do I have any questions from anybody about what you've seen so far? If not, I'm going to take you to learn more about the program. Does anybody maybe put them in the chat box? Mark, do you see anything coming in there?
I'm going to empty. I have to get out of full screen here. 1 second.
Okay, because I can't see the chat, see everything while I'm sharing.
Yes, Susan's up. Somebody was about to speak, and I'll read Susan's question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Who is speaking?
I was going to speak. I didn't know how to get into the chat right from here.
Okay.
But I wanted you, Marion, to, because Karen's on the line here, and she's my friend. So to invite her to the next roundtable call, it's going to be the second Tuesday, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it would be the 12th of December. If you wanted to join us, Karen. Is that what you're saying at the roundtable calls, Marion, that anyone can come in?
No.
Oh.
No,
Okay.
actually, they're actually just for Agreements Institute members. We're behind the scene now. I'm giving you guys a sneak Really, it's just for members.
Well, then that must have been another blessing in disguise that Karen's going to join the program.
Yeah. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit more about the program. I just wanted to show you the resource, the very rich resources that you have to travel through this program with ease, and then to be able to give your own programs with ease. So let me take you now to this place. Okay. So I'm going to go through how you actually then engage with the program. Like say, I'm ready. I want to do that. I'm going to need to move this back here.
And Susan, we'll come back to your question after this piece.
I'm sorry. Susan had a question. Should we address it?
Yeah, because actually it's related to what so right now you're going into the business of sharing the revolutionary agreements, and Susan's asking, is this appropriate if you don't plan to incorporate coaching in your own business, but more for your own growth and to utilize it from a personal basis?
Absolutely. And I think if we didn't make this distinction, it's very important to do this. We have coaches on this call: Mark, Linda, Patricia, Jill. I can't see everybody. I can only see a few
Linda,
people.
Bob.
Bob, Jill, Linda, Bob, Mark, that are teaching 12-week programs. They're leading 12-week programs. So they'll take a deep dive. They'll take you on a deep dive through the agreements. So you can do the 12-week program with them. And the only thing that I do is the 14-week program to certify group. You don't need to be a coach. You can just be a leader, somebody who's going to take them to, take them to a group.
Well, one of our last round table, you brought in somebody who's been working with these agreements 20 or 30 years as well, and bringing them into the corporate world. So if you're a corporate consultant or something like that as well, it's a relationship coach, whatever.
Yeah, thanks. That's a good question, Susan. Excellent.
And Jill had a question. Jill's raising a hand.
One of the things, if you want to take it into teaching, use it to teach, as a former corporate trainer, this gives you everything that you need. You don't have to sit back and create each lesson plan or what you want to cover or how you're going to find a video or any of that. It is all available, which to me is absolutely phenomenal.
You know, Jill, I totally forgot to show that part. Thank you. So we're back now. Mark, are we back on the course menu?
Yep.
Okay, so going back to agreement session 4, this is so important. The day after I have demonstrated how to facilitate agreement session 4 and you have participated as a participant, then the guide that goes with that session and the slides that go with that session become available to you. I don't want you to have it early because I want you to go through it just like your own participant would. But then the next day, and I'm going to take you there. Thank you, Jill. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot this is the most important piece. Okay, so the facilitator's guide for that section has everything that you need. From how to set up for it, like this particular session is the first one that uses breakout rooms. So I have right at the beginning, here's how you make sure you have breakout rooms enabled in Zoom. And everything down to have a pad and pen ready and whatever. All the details of how to set up. Everything in red has to do with PowerPoint. Let me just say that I use very, very little PowerPoint because this is about relationships. It's not about information, and it's about the personal experience. However, I use PowerPoint just to keep everything together that you might need, whether it's a video, audio, sometimes there's instructions. So, but you can see this is fully scripted. You do not need to use it. You can throw it out. You can do it your way. Once you've embodied these agreements and you're a professional, facilitator, trainer, leader, do it your way. But this was how I do it. And I do have certified coaches who use these scripts and just edit them for themselves. So this script takes you through We read the agreements at the beginning of each session. We say what the objective is. We explain the agreement, but everybody's read the book, so we don't need to spend much time with that. I'll tell you what one of the most important pieces is right here. A personal example of the agreement. When I get feedback from students, the feedback that is the most magnificent is how their leaders, how their facilitators walk their talk, and how many examples they give of how they use them in their life. So this is powerful. And then we explore the agreements with different activities for each one that takes people deeper. This particular one, there are 3 little video clips that show how the brain works. In your facilitator's guide, I have put the transcript from those video clips. So you actually have the transcript. Not that you have to read it, but it's there if you want to reference it. And there's the transcript of the second video, the beginning, and from the third one. And then we go into, we explore and we embody the agreements. So we explore the agreements, we embody the agreement, and in this case, we were going into groups of 3 or 4 to do this. And so we go into breakout rooms. And I'm not going slow enough for you to read the whole thing, but just to get the idea, are you getting the idea? That this is very complete, let's say.
Can I add something to that completeness? Because you touched on it, but I know that if I was seeing this, or maybe even when I saw this for the first time, I was overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, there's so much here that I'd have to get all of these pieces right, that this is everything you need and you can do it whatever you want. You mentioned that we're all teaching these 12-week programs. Some of us are teaching 3-hour workshops. Patricia is offering a 7-week condensed program. So you really give us the flexibility to use it, however we want. Sometimes I'm not able to get to all the exercises or use all the resources that are in each of them, but it's there for you. You can use it how you need to.
Yeah, and so there's always a section where we reflect on what we learned. Thank you, Mark. Where we journal what we've learned so that it's written down also. And then there's a closing practice that where we go over the assignments. And then we let it go. We anchor it with a yes, and we move on to the next. And I think that's going to be it for, I almost forgot that. Jill, thank you. Okay, so there is guides, and let's go to the slides.
And
PowerPoint slides.
Real quick, Susan's leaving. There will be follow-up. We'll let you know that before you go.
Okay, Susan, bye. I see a little note from Joseph flying across my screen too. Okay, so the slides, again, are only there to support what you're doing. So this is a video, this is a video, this is a video, that's a video, and these are instructions. So because it's a breakout rooms and I said, we're gonna do this, then you're gonna do that, blah, blah, blah. Then I put this up to give it a visual because there were a lot of instructions. And then this one actually is where you see this little sound thing. When I go to this one, it starts playing Pachelbel. So my husband came in and he said, where's the music when you were journaling? Because we're used to journaling to Baroque music, which really helps us to remember and integrate whatever it is we're learning. So it automatically turns the music on when you go here. And then we go over the assignments. And that's it. So it's not a lot, just enough. All right, so that's a look. That's a better look behind the scenes. Yeah, so if you've got questions, put them in the chat box, and I'm going to move on because I see that I'm taking a lot of time doing this. All right, so here we are on the place that you're going to go if you want to get more details about the certification program, and if you want to register. So I'll just quickly go down this to show you some things as well as the gift. I'm so excited about the gift. Okay, so you'll go through, there's a lot of testimonials on this page, and you'll see some people that you've met tonight. There's Bob and Mark and Darlis. And this goes through exactly what you'll get in the program. And you can go through that on your own. I don't need to do it here with you. I think I might stop though. My promise to you. I love this. I mean, I promise you that you will have personal growth during this program, and that you'll have transformed relationships. I promise. And that you'll be equipped with the skills and the tools and the awareness to use the revolutionary agreements to support your clients and your community's success. So I just want to know, you to know that. I promise you that. And then we'll go over the steps to certification. It's really, really important that you click on certification requirements and that you read these and say, yeah, I could do that, or no, I don't want to do that, or whatever, if you're considering this program. Because I'm laying out what I expect of you. And this also lays out what you can expect of me. So this is an important piece. I think it's all important. This is what I mentioned before. So your steps to certification are, you would complete the registration form, you would select a payment option, there are two, you would enter the 14-week program and fulfill the requirements which you're going to look at, and then you would complete a successful practicum. So your first program we call a practicum, and you need to start it within 3 months after the coursework. This tells you what your tuition includes, which is also a year of licensing and membership in the Agreements Institute. And these are the classes that you would be certified to give. It's important to me that this is affordable for everyone who wants to enrich their relationships, their impact, and their income. So your practicum is designed to reward you. Oh, I'm going to stop here for a second, because your practicum has to be fee-based. You can't give it away. Part of my idea, well, I have several ideas about this, but one is that some of us are such goody two-shoes that we give everything away. And so I want you to learn to receive. So that's one reason why I say it's fee-based. But the other is, I love the idea of you earning back some or all of your financial investment in the certification program. So you can do that. And the bottom line of the program is $19.97. If you pay in full, you get 45-minute sessions with me, 3 of them, or you can choose a payment plan. It's guaranteed. So if you're in the program for 30 days, and let's see, at 30 days, you're not quite at the change what doesn't work yet. Too bad. If you say, I'm out of here, well, you'll get all your money back. No questions asked. So here's the gift. I'm ready to give you the gift. Because you're here right now, really, if you use the promo code of THANKS, when you click on one of these payment plans, you'll get a $300 discount. Now, I've never done that before, so my current graduates are going, hey, I want that. But I've never done it. I don't have to do it, but it's the holidays. And I thought, well, this would be fun to do this. And then it's also fun for me, because then I know who's going to be in my February program, because you need to do it by Sunday. So that would be this $300 coupon, or whatever it's called, discount, is good through Sunday, or until the end of the day, Sunday. So you can choose to pay in full, or you can choose a 6 payment plan. And that's about, oh, yeah, and if you, yeah, so that's good. Actually, if you choose the 6 payment plan, even though it's a little more because it's a payment plan, you do it means that the first payment is $67, which might be good in December, you know. So there. All right. I think that's it. I'm going to come back to you all. I'm going to close.
I'm going to have a question about that.
Yes.
So when to take advantage of this, because I didn't know anything about this special offer, where do they just click on the buy now on the page? By the way, I put the link up, agreementsinstitute.com /transformation.
I actually have it right here. Wait a second. I'll link to it in just a minute. Hold on a second. Let me find my stop share, and then I'm going to start share again.
And Marion, I don't think you said anything about the International Coach Federation certification credits.
Oh, I didn't.
I was going to ask you what you meant by that, Glenn. I saw your comment.
That's what I need a whole team for. So are we looking at this?
Yes, now we are.
Okay. So that's where you want to go.
In the chat box, you can just click on it.
The page that I just showed you is agreementsinstitute.com/transformation. And so that's the page that you want to study if you're considering coming to the certification program and you want more details, or you want to, or you want to register. That's where you go. agreementsinstitute.com/transformation. Yeah, this is approved by the International Coaches Federation. Not approved, it's called accredited. So this program is accredited for 33 continuing education units for people who are International Coach Federation coaches. All right, so Mark, do you think I can go ahead and stop the screen share now?
Yes.
Come back together. Here we are. Oh, good. A lot of you stayed for that final gift. I'm happy about that for those of you who choose to participate. Now, are there any questions?
I'm in speaker view, so I have to go scrolling through. I don't see any hands. We had asked earlier too about, during the other part of it, if there was just feedback or anything else. So it doesn't have to be questions necessarily about the program, but anything at all, I guess, that anybody wants to share.
Sarah's saying thank you. Sarah. What's the dates of the next program? Great question. Starts February 21st. And it goes into May. I think it's May 23rd. It'll be Wednesday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's a good time for you here, Hiro. Hiro, yeah, 10 a.m. Yeah, I think your time.
I was going to ask, what is the time difference between Japan and Eastern in New York?
Hiro, you need to take your mic off so we can hear you.
There you go.
It depends on the daylight saving time, but 12 hours to 13 hours.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for both.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. Anybody else?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have my computer off because my husband is behind me in his bathrobe and I thought it was too much information.
Okay.
Will you be offering this again this year just because we have prior commitments that tie us up way too much to commit?
The answer is no. I do this once a year, so I will be offering it again, but it'll be probably February of 2019.
All right. All right. I appreciate that.
Thank you for asking. And, well, no, it's because I love my life. And I love my class, but I like the balance. And I travel. I travel half the year. So, yeah, Mark and Patricia and Bob were in my program when I was traveling. So they saw me with different backgrounds every week. It's just easier to be in one place.
Now, see, my travel is when you're doing the class.
Oh.
I leave the cold weather for the warmer weather.
So one of the things you'll see in the certification requirements is that you can miss up to 3 live classes, but that's all. And then you've got the replay so that you can watch it because you have a buddy and your buddy counts on you to be present and be there. And yeah, but you can miss up to 3 live ones if you've got other things coming up. Okay, anything else?
Back to my notes.
I'm going to see if there was anything else I wanted to
Marian, I'd like to share.
Yes.
I just wanted to reassure people in case they are coming from the place I was coming from when I first took the pilot program last year with you. And I was really reticent about the Zoom, even though it seemed easy enough when we were going through the certification course. But to actually teach a course using Zoom, it was really scary to me. So I started out by asking my relatives, my family, if they'd like to come and help me practice Zoom while they learned the revolutionary agreements. And they did, and it was really fun. And then my practicum course was with a group, a church, and the spiritual leaders had asked me to teach these to the spiritual leaders in the church. And using Zoom, I did that. But how I prefer to teach it is actually in person. And I've taught it 2 more times. I'm in the midst of the 4th class for this year of teaching revolutionary agreements at a community center for retirees. And the class this summer was so successful that the class I offered in the fall just filled up just like that. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for jumping in, because with my screen sharing, I kind of lost my notes, and it's like, oh yeah, I wanted Patricia to share because she's had such great experience. And also, thank you, Patricia, for sharing these and then for sharing about it.
I think it's really funny because Patricia went in, I think, with the most apprehensive, and it seemed like wasn't sure about doing her own program, and has led more of her own programs than anyone else. There are 5 now, 4 live plus the.
Yeah. And then there's Bob. And Bob and his wife travel all over, and everywhere they go, they do workshops and just give their gifts. And Bob, you just did something really unique with the agreements. Do you want to share what you did with that?
You bet. Because of our being ambassadors for the Peace Pentagon in Independence, Virginia, we were invited to do an event there for a weekend, and so we actually structured all of this into a weekend retreat. And it was very clear within literally the first hour of us doing that, with the leadership of the retreat center plus a few others that had come from as far away as a 7-hour drive that participated, that format for us, and because of our lifestyle, is an amazing one. So we've just gotten the go-ahead to do a weekend retreat at the White Eagle Lodge near Houston, Texas in March. And it's wonderful because it's that combination, like Patricia has, of being in person, but rather than spread out over 7 weeks, people are intensely together for the weekend, eating together, and meditation time in the evenings, and labyrinths and bonfires. And so it's just been a completely different method of presenting it, and we're really excited to be announcing that. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. And Bob's, all the graduates' feedback during the practicum was so fabulous. And so Bob did do a 12-week Zoom course also. And so there's a lot of options.
I'd also like to add, Marian, that for others to consider this in certification and how you might use it in your work in the world, that how amazing Marian has been in her generosity of time to be with all of us that are doing programs. I know she spent time with Patricia in Florida, and obviously with Mark. And when we finished our weekend retreat, I called Marian. She was available, and she came on a Zoom call with us so she could chat with the members of the weekend retreat for about a half hour. And that's just an important connection. And for me, a great feeling of an amazing support that you, Marian and Glenn, are for how we each are individually carrying this into the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to that, and just what you said, Bob, because Marian and Glenn, actually, they were traveling through Florida when week 1 occurred for the summer class, and they planned their trip and their journey through Florida just so they could appear at that week 1 class, and truly supporting. I'm glad you mentioned that.
I just opened up the chat box because I saw a message come up, and Kim is asking about she said, you said the tuition covered a 1-year certification membership. What's the fee after that? Good question. It's $297. And I take no fee from your classes at all. So however many students you have, they're yours. Whatever you do with that is yours. However many you give. But to continue to have a license to use the materials that you just saw in the member site, it's $297 annually. At least right now it is.
And you actually not only are you don't take anything from us, but you promote us. Like I said, we have a calendar, so you can see where each of us are offering the program, and in calls like this, sharing everybody else who's certified to go to each of them. So it's a very generous community for sure. We all support each other in our programs.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit that you get as a member, but I don't want to go into it right now because we've gone a really long time. Yeah, I think it's time to wrap this up. So if you resonate with what you're hearing, here's where you can learn more about it. You have that that page now. It's agreementsinstitute.com/
transformation.
Okay. So I look forward to getting to know you all, that who I don't know, to deepening my relationships with those of you I do know and love, and discovering how our Revolutionary Agreements programs can support you in living your mission and loving your life. Yeah. So this is how we end our classes. Go like this.
Aloha.
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 Thank you, Marion. Thank you, Glenn.
Thanks, Patricia.
Thanks,
Mark.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Mark. Thank you, Marion.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys.
Much love.
See you later.
Bye, everyone.